Hey you guys, in this lesson we're going to be talking about the distance and midpoint formulas. So let's get started. Alright, so our objectives are to use both the distance and the midpoint formula. So hopefully after you're done with these videos, you will be all set to go. Alright, so let's take a look at the rectangular coordinate system first. Okay, so more than likely you guys have seen this graphing system before, and you've called it either the rectangular or the Cartesian coordinate system. So in this system, you have two major lines. You have the x-axis and you have the y-axis. The x-axis is also known as the horizontal axis. Okay, and the y-axis is also known as the vertical axis. Okay. Now, where these two axes cross, we designate and we call it the origin. Okay, the coordinates of the origin are 0, 0. And when those axes cross over each other, they form four quadrants. Okay, those quadrants are numbered starting from the top right-hand corner counterclockwise. So you have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Okay, and depending on what the coordinates are of your ordered pair, because that's how we navigate in this system, you are always given an x, y coordinate. And if your x is positive, then you're moving to the right of the system. If your x coordinate is negative, you're moving to the left. If your y coordinate is positive, you're moving up. If your y coordinate is negative, you're moving down. So if you have a point and you land in the first quadrant, that means that both your x and your y coordinate were positive. If you have a coordinate and you land in the second quadrant, that means that your x coordinate was negative, but your y coordinate was positive. If you land in the third quadrant, both your x and your y coordinate were negative. And if you land in the fourth quadrant, your x coordinate was positive while your y coordinate was negative. Okay, so it's just a refresher of our rectangular coordinate system. Okay, now sometimes you will have points, okay, in the system. So let's say, for example, we have a point that's here. We call that point 1, and we have another point here, point 2. And we want to know how far apart those points are. So we want to know the distance between point 1 and point 2. That is going to be one of the main reasons why we look for this formula here. So in this theorem, it says the distance formula. The distance formula provides a straightforward method for computing the distance between 2 points. Now, the formal definition says the distance between 2 points, P1, is equal to x1, y1, and P2 equals x2, y2, denoted by d of P1, P2, is as follows. So if we're looking for the distance between 2 points, we're going to take the square root of the difference of the x coordinates squared plus the difference of the y coordinates squared. All right, so let's see if we can apply that to an example. Okay, so this problem says find the distance d between the points -4, 5, and 3, 2. Okay, now because they didn't tell us specifically which point we're going to use as point 1 and point 2, we get to choose. So I'm going to designate point 1 as -4, 5, and P2 as 3, 2. Now, because I've made this designation, that means that x1 and y1 have to come from point 1, and x2 and y2 have to come from point 2. So now, all I need to do is plug it into our distance formula. So that's going to give me 3 minus -4 squared plus 2 minus 5 squared. And I'm going to simplify using order of operations. So I have 3 minus a negative number. Remember, a negative times a negative is positive. So it's going to give me 3 plus 4 plus 2 minus 5. Then I go ahead and clean that up. So 3 plus 4 is 7. And 2 minus 5 is -3. Okay. So when I simplify that some more, 7 squared is 49, -3 squared is 9, and that gives me the square root of 58, okay? Now, if they want a decimal, which more than likely they probably will because you're calculating distance, all you have to do is plug this into the calculator and it should give you approximately 7.62. Okay, so that would be the distance if you were to graph those 2 points between them. Okay, so basically you just need to figure out what your point 1 and point 2 is and simply plug them into the formula and then simplify when necessary. Cool.